You are viewing Wisdom Keys for Focusing on Your Passion. Good evening. LaunchPad Consultancy, in collaboration with VisionWorks Solutions, bring to you Book Club Conversations, Series 3, the finale. In this series, we spent 31 days, today being the 31st day, where entrepreneurs and professionals have been reading the book, The Uncommon Dream 31 Wisdom Keys for Focusing on the Passion of Your Heart, written by author Mike Murdoch. I am your host, Alina Lewis, and today's discussion is twofold. In our first segment, we're going to be talking about chapter 31, entitled The Uncommon Dream Will Require the Heart of a Warrior. And in our second segment, we're going to be doing a bit of a wrap up and final thought as we share with you our journey through this particular experience. So, joining me for segment one this evening is Impact Strategist at VisionWorks Solutions, Raul Rollocks. Raul, welcome and good evening once again.
Good evening, Alina, and to all those who would be viewing now or listening or whatever way they're getting in. It's a pleasure. 31 days. Can you imagine that? 31 days of some titillating, encouraging, dynamic conversation, soul searching sometimes. So
Yes.
great to be here again.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has been a journey coming on here every single night for the 31 days, this being the 31st. And tonight's focus, Mike Murdoch has us taking a look at the fact that he says the uncommon dream will require the heart of a warrior. And the first point I highlighted in my notes is um, the completion of your assignment will cause the completion of your dream, and it will require the nature, skills, and mentality of a warrior. I wanted to take a minute and focus on the whole idea of the nature, skills, and mentality of a warrior. And I wanted to ask you now, of course, in many ways, this is very metaphorical. But I wanted to ask, what does this look like in everyday life? When you roll, think of yourself as an impact strategist. What does it look and feel like to have the skills, the nature, and the mentality of a warrior? And while you're thinking about that, of course, I want to say good night to those who are viewing live. Of course, the comment section is most active. So even as we go through our conversations and you're thinking about your own self in light of what we're chatting, we encourage you, comment in the section below. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know your contributions as well. So be sure to tap in and let us know your thoughts on the topics. We'd love to hear from you during the course of tonight. So, Raul, what does it look like in the life of Raul Rollocks, impact strategist, to have the nature, skills, and mentality of a warrior? Talk to me. I'm
Well,
sipping coffee
well,
and I'm
yes,
listening.
it's a very thought-provoking. Yes, it's a very thought-provoking end to all that's been shared over the last 31 days. And when you think about going after any target, after goal, any challenge, there are challenges that come up just for simple goals, right? Even more so for the uncommon dream, all right? There are challenges that gonna come up, especially because you oftentimes when we're charting our way to something that has never been done before or new territory, we often run counterculture. In other words, we often doing some things that people may not necessarily understand. You're not even clear about it. You trying to work it out. You have naysayers. You have people saying, "Hey, this couldn't be done. This hasn't been done. This isn't making sense." So you have all these voices and things that you have to combat against. So I would say it's like in three categories: the warfare, and we're talking about fighting first against yourself and your own doubt, your own fears, your own anxieties. That's the first level. Old mindsets, old ways of doing things, and even coming on this conversation and being involved in social media. You and I have walked this journey. I have had to fight those fears and those concerns. So there's the internal, then there is what people are saying, what individuals are saying around you. Sometimes it might even be family, sometimes it might be friend, or it might be larger societal expectations of you as a woman, of you as a young man, of you maybe where you grew up. There wasn't this expectation that you would do certain things. And then, of course, as children of God, we also believe that there is an enemy. You understand? So that we do believe that there are forces of the enemy of Satan that's also working against us. So I think that's where the battle is on those three fronts. So that it requires a mental position that you have these things coming up against you, and you have to develop some offensive and defensive mechanism to deal with that. If not, it's going to overrun you, it's going to wear you down, and it's going to beat you into submission and cause you to derail or give up that uncommon dream that you're pursuing. So that's how I see the warfare.
Yeah, so is it then what you're communicating, Roll, is that a lot of it is connected to tenacity and motivation and just really having that drive that no matter what, we're pushing forward with this dream. We have a vision for something, you want to get it done. We understand for a myriad of reasons, obstacles are going to come. We're expecting it and we're pushing forward anyway, and that is the walk then of the uncommoner, as I'm calling us from today forward, with the uncommoners moving forward. But Roll, even as
Yes, yes, yes.
Murdoch continued in his writing, he started talking about qualities of the uncommon warrior. And so, even as he's talking about us, the people with that uncommon dream, that passion, that drive to want to establish a thing, he was saying that that person, the person who is effective, the uncommon warrior, only uses weapons that have never failed him. And even as I was thinking about that, I said, wow, imagine to be positioned where you use weapons that have never failed. And even as I was reading the chapter and thinking through, one of the things that stood so strong for me is that in order to use weapons that have never failed, there needs to be a sense of awareness. Because if you are not aware of what is working, versus what is not working, you can't discern to say, I will not use that because it has failed me before. So, what I want to ask you, Ro, is how can entrepreneurs, whether you're launching or you've been in it for a while, how can entrepreneurs develop that sense of awareness so that they can make that discernment and distinction between the experiences that fail and the ones that produce results?
Yes, I think this one could be a little tricky, Alina, because sometimes the things that are responsible for success are not the things that are obvious.
Yes.
Sometimes they're factors external to us. I remember a very interesting story once where they were interviewing this guy who had an ice cream parlor, right? And he was a phenomenal success. He was doing so well. On further research, you know what they discovered? His success was due to the fact, these Pokemon games, that was a big craze at one point in time.
Yeah.
They had this Pokemon game, and you have to go about collecting these Pokemon. So you had all these young people, older people collecting these Pokemons, and there was actually a site set up close to his shop. He felt it had to do, you understand, with some brilliant marketing, but it really had to do with location.
Yes.
So this whole idea of why one is successful is something that we have to take some time. So I think it first starts with being aware. You're right, and pulling back. We have to take time, whether we do it daily. We have to build some kind of routine where we pull back. Just like in any war, you have to come back and sit back and assess what is taking place on the war front. All right, you have to pull back and make an assessment. I would suggest that it's useful to do that with someone else. All right, because we
Mm.
can get a little blinded sometimes. Connect with a coach, connect with a mentor, and begin to review, you understand, your goals, your strategies, and the reasons and meaning for your success. And as you go through that process, you're going to see those aha moments. So I guess I'm saying is it's not always obvious, the reason for your success. Sometimes it has to do with people in your life. Sometimes it has to do with just the favor of God. You understand? Sometimes it has to do with a specific technique or something that you did. Sometimes we can't explain it. Sometimes
Yeah.
we just have to put it down to the providence of God and your faithfulness. Because and that's the thing we had discussed that in previous sessions. Sometimes your
Yes.
act of faithfulness and kindness to other persons, to other causes around you, is part of your success. And you have to be able to
Yes.
chronicle that. Sometimes it's your giving, the way you give
Yeah.
back to society, the way you give back, the way you help, the way you serve. All these things contribute. So it's certainly more than just a great marketing tactic or some strategic objective that you had or approach that you had or some great marketing campaign or maybe some new product development. It has to do with a number of things. So it takes a deeper analysis, and I would encourage persons to take some time, reflect. You, if you are a child of God, you know God, pray about it and open yourself to hear what God is saying as well. So that's how I
Yeah.
would approach it.
Yeah, and even for those who are viewing live, remember, my question to you is, how do you develop your own sense of awareness? So even as Roll and I continue chatting, those who are live with us, please make sure you go in the comment section below and tell us, how do you develop or become aware? What is your experience with becoming aware of what works for you, so you would know what you should continue doing along your journey? But Roll, Mike Murdoch continued on where he started, continued looking at his qualities. And he said that the uncommon warrior knows the true source of his competence and confidence. The uncommon, say it again for those who are viewing, the uncommon warrior knows the true source of his competence and confidence. And I wanted to ask you, when you think of your own journey along the way, how did you develop your awareness of competence and confidence so that you could work on the many projects that you have worked on over the years?
Yeah, I can't say it was something that was obvious. It did take some time and some years to work through some of these things. I know for me, what will certainly help was as someone who believes in God and my confidence rests in God. You understand? Um, Being able to apply principles of God and see those principles work, I guess that helps. So I guess my devotion to the Word of God and the principles of God and applying that over time helped build my awareness of what was working and what wasn't working. You know, so certainly for me, I can speak to the value of prayer in my life. I can speak to the value of service in my life. Those are some of the common threads that over time, when you look and you compare two projects, one that failed and one didn't work, you see some common threads emerging. And I would say, you know, prayer certainly was a big factor. Um, I know and I'm certain and can share with anyone out there, you know, that I have received guidance from God in terms of where I should go, where I should walk, what path I should take, you know, how I should treat with a particular matter. So my prayer devotion relationship with God, I would say, helped build my awareness. That then would have enhanced my worldview and how I'm looking at the world and how I'm pulling in information about what's happening around me. So taking a regular scan, you know, all those things would have helped along the way. I don't know if I got getting your question right.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yes.
Yes, yeah. So I would say, yeah. So I would say my walk with God certainly. I would say naturally believe in research. So research and review, looking at what other persons are doing, having mentors in my life, all those things help build awareness of what worked and what wasn't working for me. So I would say those are some of the key things that would have helped me along the way.
Yeah, and even as Mike Murder continued on, one of the things he said under those qualities is that the uncommon warrior often uses in his greatest battle the skills developed in his daily routine. And I wanted to ask you, what can you share in your about skills used in your daily routine that have been proven effective for you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I guess for me it will go back to something I had mentioned before on taking time to reflect. So you'll find that, I reflect on a daily basis, well, almost all the time, but certainly I have a routine where I would take some time in the evening and go over my day, go over the various projects, go over the various relationships, the connections, the things you said, the things you didn't say. So I think that time, having that time for reflection as a daily
Yeah.
routine, I think is critical and help to kind of put me on an even keel. I would say that was certainly a key discipline. I would want to underscore the value also of health. It's something we would have mentioned before. And that has certainly helped me because having a healthy body, a healthy mind, sharpens your senses and your ability to take in information, to retain information, and also problem solve, you know. So I would say a daily a healthy routine in terms of fitness and so forth. Reflection would be two of the daily routines I think would help. I also One of the things I've also learned is that sometimes the greatest antidote for doubt and fear and uncertainty is service. So I've always built that routine in my life of being of value, being of service, not necessarily always for some exchange, but there's a lot that I have learned about myself and what works for me and what doesn't work, and as well as what works in business by just being of service. So I think the
Yeah.
routine of making yourself available and being of service to others, I think is a very powerful, and there are a lot of gems in there that come out as we reflect on those experiences where would have given or shared or helped another person along the way. I think those are some of the routines that have helped. Certainly, I like to read, and that's the reason why we're here. So I spent quite a lot of time looking at anything that was related to self growth, self development, motivational piece. I love autobiographies. I love biographical work. That's another routine I think that has helped me. Because as I walk through life, I carry these individuals almost like companions. So I
Yes.
found myself sometimes thinking like how they would think. I would read Mandela and I would hear Mandela talk about the inflexible disciplines that he had of keeping fit and how he treated people. And as I face situations, I can hear Mandela talking to me. I can hear Obama talk about the audacity of hope. And as I strive, I hear these voices in my head. So certainly reading and embodying the writings certainly has been another routine that has helped. But I can go on and on, but I will stop there for now.
No, it's fine because even as you were talking about being in service, one of the things that I was thinking is important to make mention to make sure people remember, especially maybe persons who are now entering business or maybe in their first year or two. Being of service does not have to be a complicated process or experience. Being in service simply means that being in service, it means having that open mind to hear what a colleague or whoever is in your life or whoever that you're trying to partner with, to listen for a need and saying, how can I help? Because certainly some of my greatest lessons learned, I learned because I said, how can I help? And I positioned myself
Yes.
to work under people and to learn from them and to take direction and to see things through the eyes of others. So that way it's you don't get stuck in your own way and in your own head and thinking your way is the only way, but you get to understand perspective, flexibility, how to work with others, how to maneuver through different experiences, personally, professionally, in the business operation. Being of service it means just that. And it doesn't mean and so important, knowing that being in service many times means that there is no title, there is no credit, you may or may not get a thank you, let's be honest, but we recognize being in
Yes.
service
Yes.
means that you position yourself to be exposed, to learn, and to be able to develop in ways that you wouldn't if you did not say be of service. And I think that quite often, um, it is an easy tactic to say, oh, well, what am I getting? How much are you paying me? But if it's only about someone's willingness or ability to pay you, you're not really being of service. You're being hired for a job. But being of service in some cases
Yes.
means just making yourself available. It has nothing to do about what you're getting tangibly or what strings a person is going to be pulling for you. But being of service in that context means submitting yourself to another person's vision because it causes you to be expanded in who you are, what you learn, what you understand. But
Yes,
Mike
it's
Murdoch,
certainly one of,
yes,
if we, yeah, I was going to add, if we think of a war, service is one of those offensive tools that we have that we can
yeah,
take. So we take
yeah,
in front and we can use that as a weapon because certainly being of service helps against greed and selfishness, which are some of the things that we
yes.
combat with, that we war against, because those things can seep in and cause us to be derailed in our vision and goals and the things we're trying to achieve. So being in service is one of those offensive weapons that we can use to keep us on track.
Definitely. Even as Mike Murdoch continued on roll, and listen, when I read this, when I tell you I thought of you, I say, oh my gosh, Roll must have basked in this number 18, where he said, the uncommon warrior knows that when he is victorious, the discouraged around him become more encouraged and energized. And I'm going to say that again for the people who probably didn't read the book, but only listening on. The uncommon warrior, us, the people who out here making it happen, pursuing that goal, that vision, the uncommon warrior knows that when he is victorious, those who are around him, the discouraged who are around him, become encouraged and energized. And in my mind, I sum that up to one word: impact. And I say, look, raw line here. So my question
Yeah,
is, when
I
you
yeah,
read
I,
that,
I
what
think,
came to mind?
could you repeat the question? It
I
faded a
said, when
little
you
bit.
read that, yeah, no problem. I said, when you read that, what stood out for you? Because I said, this is your lane right here.
Well, I think what stood out for me is that it takes a village and we have to think in terms of the collective when we start thinking about these things. And in fact, it is really one of those secrets of business success. If you think about many businesses today, if you think of the nature and types of businesses, if you think of Airbnb, if you think of Uber, if you think of um, Facebook, these really are based upon a collective. You understand? It doesn't work unless people are connected. So you begin to realize that your victories are not just your own. It takes a team, it takes a village working together to produce something that's phenomenal. And it's a secret that sometimes people miss as they pursue their goals. So there's an old African proverb that says it's like this, all right? If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And you'd really realize that when you are victorious and when you win, it helps to lift. And a rising tide lifts all ships. So whoever is involved, whoever is connected, their spirits are buoyed, their sense of determination, they are encouraged and inspired to push further. And when they push further, they lift you. So it becomes this process of building each other. So that's how we make impact. When we begin to realize that the things that I do, the things that you do, it's all connected. And if we understand that connection, we'll understand that we never really act as much as we'd want to think, we always act in a village. The decision, the individual decision that you make today, good or bad, is going to impact those persons around you. So, this is something that I am certainly keen on and support 100%.
Yes, because I think it's also a point of motivation, to think that when we are victorious, people who are around us become. Notice he didn't say when you're victorious, you could then go do the work to energize and encourage others. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be you. Be
Yes,
your best
yes,
you. Be the
yes,
thrive you.
yes,
Be the
yes,
effective you.
yes,
Be the excellent you.
yes,
And when
yes,
you be the when you operate in your place of greatness, because you know what I always say, I truly believe we all are born with seeds of greatness on the inside. It's up to us to recognize the instinct, develop the instinct, and live it out. And so, if it is we're doing this and we're being our authentic selves, then automatically those around us would be built up, would be encouraged. You don't even have to try. It just happens. But flip side
yes.
role. If it is the people around us are demotivated and dejected, what does that say about us though?
Well, if
Take
that
a moment of
continues for long, it
silence.
means that you have to get some new people around you. but but certainly we carry their pain. We carry their pain. It certainly will affect us. You understand? And that's why we have this accountability, responsibility thing. This whole idea of being interconnected and interrelated. We can't forget our inter or intradependence. All right. Sometimes we like to boast about our independence, but we all connected in this way. So it certainly affects us either way. So we have a responsibility to support and help and to buoy up each other. Now, of course, if you find yourself in a situation where that's what is the status quo, then you need to ask yourself some questions about your team and those around you, because that will eventually bring you down, Alina. The best of warrior. If you have persons around you, it will eventually bring you down.
And dare I say, it begs us, I think, to look at ourselves as well. Because if we are the moving, rumbling, impacting people, and those around us are not blazing the trail as well, then we must also look at ourselves too in terms of our own ability to impact those around us, to be to be those fire starters around us. So that I think it's twofold. We want to look at ourselves and we want to look at the team, because the natural progression should be, if we're operating in what we're supposed to operate in, those around us are supposed to be encouraged and energized and ready to move. And so I think it's dual in that regard.
Yes, certainly. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly,
So
certainly.
yeah, so Roll, when you think of this chapter, what stood out to you the most?
Well, first, even though when you did read it, it made sense. It was interesting that this was the last chapter,
Mhm.
um, because the reality is that life is real, you
Yeah.
know, and it's challenging, and understanding that there is some type of warfare. So when he starts off with the whole idea that warfare is inevitable, I
Yes.
think it helps to put someone, so just that statement alone, you understand? It helps to put you in a kind of frame of mind that there
Yes.
is a war being fought, all right? There's a
Mhm.
war being fought for your time, for your money, for your energy, for your resources. And if you are not cognizant of that, and if you don't take up that positioning, you could find yourself being swayed with every wind of fancy. Even as we look at what's going on with COVID right now, you understand?
Yeah.
That's a serious war. And I
Yeah.
wonder what kind of war it is. When I look at it, it seems to be a war more about our own sense of self and our interconnectedness, the things we're talking about now, and self-discipline than anything
Yes.
else. You understand?
Yes.
Because the virus doesn't jump. It doesn't jump. It relies on, in the main, poor poor discipline, poor self-discipline, and a disregard for the other. You
Yeah.
understand? So
Yeah.
here's this war that we're facing right here. You understand? That we need to encourage the persons around us to be safe, to be healthy for our own sakes. Right?
Yeah.
So that whole idea of warfare to end this thing, because as I shared earlier, Life by itself is hard, even if you choose to do nothing.
Yes.
Even if you choose to do nothing, it's going to be challenging because to get up every day and to just give up takes
Mm,
effort. You
yeah.
understand? It takes effort. Even that is challenging. Much more so when we decide that we're going for a dream and then we're going for an uncommon dream, you
Yeah.
have to understand that there is this war that's raging. So, um, just the fact that he pointed it out stood out for me, and it's not something that I thought about within the context of achieving the uncommon dream. So it was a welcoming reminder to me of the kind of mental positioning we have to take sometimes to overcome the obstacles that we will face.
Yes. Yep. 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 Yeah. So listen, tonight is our finale night, roll. We've had lots of great business owners coming in, joining in on the conversation, and fortunately, we're able to
Tremendous,
get one or two of them
tremendous.
back with us for this last segment. So even now, I want to be able to transition into that general conversation and bring in studio two of the
So,
other entrepreneurs that would have been with us, because for those who are viewing, I'm not sure if you've been following all along, or maybe this is your first time, but let me reintroduce. My name is Alina Lewis. I function as a success coach at LaunchPad Consultancy. In studio with me right now is Roel Rollox, impact strategist at VisionWorks Solution, and
hi.
in, joining in for our second segment, we have Janine Caesar, owner of JC Charm, and Michelle Timothy Ellis, owners of Matty's Resort Inn. So, ladies, our welcomed new guests. Hi, how are you all?
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
And so, even as we get in, I have one big question for you and two smaller questions for you. So my big question is based on the fact that when I decided, and I reached out to Roll about doing this collaboration with me, Launchpad and VisionWorks, the whole idea was that we're in a time, I believe, where what most people fall into one or two categories. The people who are pushing forward fall into one or two categories. Either you believe that there is a new season and a new release that is about to start and to be activated in your life, and you're getting positioned to live and to walk in that, or you're getting ready for January 2021, and it is probably the custom to get into that, whether you call it a New Year's resolution or you're just planning for the new year, there's a planning taking place. And when I came across this book, I said, oh, wow, what a book to complement the whole idea of tapping into the dream. And the dream could be many things. It could be the dream to launch, the dream to expand, the dream to revamp, the dream to start a new project, the dream to be a better version of yourself in a dimension that you had not imagined before. Whatever the it is, there was newness that a lot of people were getting ready to step into. And, so Roll and I came together and say, hey, we're going to do this project where we're going to come on live every single night and talk through this, even as a systematic approach to unpacking this dream and understanding how to be positioned. That was the whole idea. And let me say once again, I thank you, ladies, and even those who are not in with us tonight for the finale. I really want to say thanks for joining in and coming on from time to time. Yes, Leah, thank you. We're sad your first time is viewing on the first night, but we're happy that you are here viewing. Yeah. So I want to ask, because the purpose of engaging this series three was to engage this understanding and positioning towards transformation. What was the experience like for you? Was it indeed a transformative experience? I want to know your thoughts. So here's what we try and have to figure out now. Are we going in alphabetical order? Are we going in order on the screen, starting with Roll, then Janine, then order, or are we going ladies first? let's go with let's go in alphabetical order. We start with Janine.
Oi.
Janine, why me? Why Alina? Why? No, but I'm just teasing. Anybody, any order. I just want to hear from you all. What has this experience been like? And what, even while you're thinking, allow me to say, I can imagine many people probably. Hi, Natasha. Natasha would have been one of our panelists. So, Natasha, I know you couldn't be in live, but we'd love to hear from you in the comment section as well. Yeah. For a lot of people, they feel as though I can't read a book. I don't have time to read a book. I don't have time to go through all of that. I'm afraid to go on camera. I'm afraid to go on live. I'm afraid to talk. There's so many things that would have kept people either from joining the panel or from even reading the book. And so, as those who represent few, because we're less than half of the total panel that participated, what was this experience like for you? And what do you think others should know about such an experience like this? So we'll take it one at a time. What was this experience like for you? Anybody, any order?
Well, you already called me, so I'm yours first.
No rush, really. No rush, Janine.
This really was transformative. One, and I'm going to start off again. I don't like being in front of the camera. Excuse me. So this was a me stepping out of my comfort zone, but I have to say that actually being with you all and reading the book and actually thinking about how the ways that I can use it to improve what I do, I'm definitely going to be seeking out more books like this because the impact that it's had on me already, just 31 chapters, and the way it has impacted me already. Yeah, Alina, this was wow.
Michelle, how was this experience for you?
You know, I tend to look at everything from a spiritual perspective. So sometimes it's a little overwhelming for some people because, you know, it's like you spiritualize everything, especially my kids. They say, Mom, you know, everything doesn't have to be. But I think that everything is because I see us as humans, you know, just, well, spiritual beings having a human experience. And when we are in human mode, which is now, we need wisdom and guidance for each step of our lives. And we need to know how to interact. We need to know who to interact with. We need to know why we're interacting. And I think the principles in the book really lifted that for us, the readers, and those of us who are sharing with, you know, the listening, the viewing audience. But more importantly, in terms of our own lives, for me, this experience has allowed me to trust. And I'm talking trust here in terms of trusting my own experiences to be good enough to share with other people. Because sometimes you think, okay, this is my journey and it's very personal to me, right? And I never really put a weight on my success or failure. But other people look and they say, well, you know, this is you're doing really well, or you how come you're managing to do this? For me, it's like, you know, just another day. But I realize that sharing it is actually, even though I, in my own deficiencies, you know, I'm able to come, I'm authentic, I'm, you know, operating in integrity, and I'm sharing, and actually people are benefiting, people are growing, and they're learning, and they're recognizing if she can do it with her imperfections and her insecurities, then why can't I do it? You know, so it's a push forward for them, and it's also a pull for me because now I'm encouraged to pursue other things that I've always wanted to do. So this has really been a great opportunity. And I want to just stress, Alina,
Yeah.
that I am not one for technology at all. And I couldn't even conceptualize how this would work. But, you know, after the first show and the second one, I realized, but listen, I can actually trust you because you're such a genius with, you know, pulling all of this together and guiding through the discussion. And for a few minutes before I came on, came out from backstage, I was actually thinking how it's important not only to share, but to have people who are a pool of resources where everybody can pull together and learn from each other. So I really, I enjoyed this. I wish Mike had more chapters, but here we are at 51,
Well,
right? And
again, just
so
plugging in before we go to roll. Series 4 is coming in January. So for those who want to join in on the panel and commit to contributing in studio, virtual studio, to the conversation, or if you're like, nope, I'm good, but I do want to read because I want the experience, stay tuned. Make sure you're following LaunchPad Consultancy. Make sure you're following VisionWorks because Series 4 is coming. And listen, we're reading a big bang of a book. I'm not even going to tell you what it is yet, but I both fingers crossed. I promise you, your life is not gonna listen. The only book I'm putting higher than this right now is the Bible. After that, it's gonna be Club Conversation Series 4 for transformation. Roll, how was
I'm
this
so scared.
experience for you? I wonder if Roll is frozen, boy. Roll, are you frozen? Oh, he's having serious delays.
mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Well, you seem to be having really, really terrible delays. Can I
Are
ask
you
you maybe
hearing
to
me?
okay, you're hearing us?
It's delayed.
Yes.
Terribly, but it's okay. We're here and we're with you. Talk to us. How is this experience for you?
I'm hearing you, but it's delayed. It was a tremendous experience, a tremendous experience. It was, for me, a reminder that, like everyone else, as I look at what Mike Murdoch did with his own gifting, it is a reminder that each of us has that deposit. There's something in each of us for the world. No matter how small we think it is, it's something that we uniquely gifted to present, to give the world. So this process was a reminder for me, you understand, to go back through my own life and my own work and to focus on that particular unique gifting, to give to the world. So it certainly helped build that confidence again to step out and to share. Sometimes we have our own thoughts and ideas about things, and putting it out there is a challenge because what will people say? What will, how will people react? But one of the things this program helped again is to build that confidence on camera. Being on camera, we think it was a reminder and encouragement to me. And anybody who missed the 31 days, they missed a lot. There's so much packed into the 31 days. I really think he packed 90 days or maybe 6 months into 31 days. That's what he really did. So I would encourage anyone out there to get the book, get their hands on the book, and take their time. And maybe they can make it their own study and approach it like a workbook approach, where every day you make your notes and you apply it. So it was a tremendous experience, and I enjoyed the interaction and talking to the various guests, and learning from each other. So it was really a great experience.
Yeah, I think, and just commenting from, my conversations with you guys and the others who would have joined in, you know, in the off-camera conversations, I know that for all of us, we would have been pulled in a new way, in a new level, to have our eyes open, not just because of the interaction, but because, of course, of the content shared through the book and how we really took time to internalize. Natasha Rampasad was one of our guests, and she couldn't be live in studio with us, but she did share with us in the comment section that the entire experience has been completely life changing for me. I found the wisdom support, courage, and like minded people to help make a decision to actually put my dream into action. I want to share something I wonder if I can. Are you all hearing me?
Yeah, we are.
Yes, yes.
So I want to give Natasha can be on screen to share her face, but I could share her project. And Natasha, even out of all the development that she has going on, this is an example of one of the projects that Natasha has pulled together since. So she's doing her first online. She's taking her
Yes.
training online, and she's doing her
Yes,
first
we are.
session coming in January, the Cast Division free webinar. So I just want to congratulate Natasha on her new projects. And keep in mind, Natasha is not the only person with new projects there, but because she couldn't physically be here, I just wanted to put her project up and represent and really congratulate her for the hard work that she's putting in and how she's putting herself out there to be that uncommoner, to put herself out, let her voice be heard, and share. Natasha has unique perspectives on vision and how we position ourselves to unpack and be released into all that God has called us to be. And so I just want to congratulate her on her initiative to put forward the cast, the vision free webinar. So, ladies, even as we continue, and of course, I want to reiterate Natasha is not the only one. I know I chatted with Michelle. Michelle has great things coming up for 2021. I've chatted with Janine. Janine has great things coming up. Rolla has great things. Listen, I think just about everybody on the panel has great things coming up. And in my mind, I would like to think that the experience of reading the book sort of helped nudge a little bit. But to confirm if my mind is playing tricks on me or not, please tell me. Panel, can you identify any one area you feel is transformed in your life based on the readings of this book, whether personal, professional, entrepreneurial, whatever? Anything you want to mention, can you identify any one area that you'd say, wow, when I read this, it stirred me so much that I have made the commitment or I made the change or whatever it may be? I don't know if we still going in alphabetical order, boy.
Not anymore.
So we start with persons number two. Michelle,
Yes,
what's
no
in
problem.
your
I'm willing to share. For me, I think the fact that the reference to seed throughout the book is important for me because I've always been a firm believer in seed time and harvest time, right? And the process between the seed being sown and the harvest is, it usually takes time, right? And there are a number of risks involved there in the process. But I think what helps to germinate a good harvest is understanding, documenting, you know, talking with people who would have had the experience. So there are moments of anxiety there in between where you're wondering if you will get a harvest at all. But other people have journeyed before. And I think, experiences and conversations such as this one helps us to know, okay, yes, we're on the right track. You start small, but you can end up going, wherever. It depends on how many seeds you've planted. So for me, it's that, and it's also that whole process of obedience, that chapter on obedience really helped me because sometimes we are asked to do some things and it seems like it makes really no sense at the time, right? We are asked to do them in a particular order, right? The Holy Spirit will say, write the vision, make it plain. I jotted down just this month a number of things that I needed to have done. And I think God has his way of, being very extravagant. So, and I looked at the list this weekend, going here, and everything is crossed off. And like, okay, God, next, what's next? But it had to do with a process of obedience, you understand, and simple things that I wanted to have accomplished. And again, it reminds us that God is a God of order. So that order is reflected in the sequence of the book and what we're expected to develop in each area. But for each person, it doesn't have to be in that order, but certainly those are principles that we all have to inculcate. So yeah, for me, obedience and the seeds, that is very, very important.
Yeah, Roll, what about you? Any area for you that really stood out that the book brought it back to your attention?
Two areas that are so they were kind of like into, coming through the challenges that this pandemic has faced and having to re-engineer and reformat, my way of doing things this year. All right. I think the one that spoke to your uncommon dream is kept alive by a spoken word, and the one that spoke to requiring mind management. Those two areas were particularly important to me where I'm at right now, right? Because first of all, the Bible speaks to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and it forced me
Yeah.
to delve a little deeper into what does that really mean? What is my mind? What does it comprise of? How do I think? How am I thinking right now? What's my current paradigm? And is this paradigm really working for me? And oftentimes a paradigm is not something that's obvious. We have to take a little deeper look to see there are certain mindsets that we have that are blocking us. And once we've discovered those, to speak the truth, we have to speak God's word, we have to speak the promises, and we have to make these declarations, and we have to do that often enough. So I think those areas really jumped out at me as really important. And Alina, we've been working on a project about affirmations, and it
Yeah,
really helped confirm to me that we really have to get that ongoing, come the new year, where
yeah,
we're going to be introducing these affirmations on a daily basis, make these declarations about the promises they know for themselves, to be
yes,
true. So those were the areas that jumped out at me.
yeah. But Janine, you only reach back to you now.
I'm
You make the
okay.
whole circle.
For me, what this book did was remind me that even though others are doing things in the same field that I am, uh, there's nothing like what it is I can give. My little take on that very same thing is what is going to push, what is going to encourage, and what is going to make me stand out. Because because I do see others doing it, but then I always have, what if what if I do this? How about I do that? How about I add to the other? And I see my dream being developed. And this book really reminded me nobody could
Yes,
do it like you. And
yes,
what you do, people are going to,
yes,
once you connect with them, they're going to flock to it. So stay true to yourself. It's your dream. Stay true to your dream, and everything is going to fall into place.
I needed some fireworks to just spill all over the
Yes,
screen
yes,
when you said that.
definitely.
I need to get a fireworks button next time I do a live. I'm saying,
yes.
but guys, I mean, it's been great. It's been a great 31 days. It's been a great night. So,
Yes.
even as we wind down this conversation, of course, I'm appreciative for all who are looking in. We always end with two things. The first being wisdom for transformation. So, of course, I want to ask you guys, um, what are your final thoughts? What are the final takeaways? And we're going to put that under a wisdom for transformation segment. And even as we get into wisdom for transformation, I want to sort of just kick it off by reminding everyone, because it certainly is near and dear to my heart, the belief that says the what you need, everything you need, the capacity to fulfill your dream is inside of you. An awareness and an awakening of the dream would not have resonated in your heart if you did not carry the capacity to bring it to fruition. So even tonight in our first segment that I had with you all, where we talked about confidence and moving forward, be confident and know that within you is the capacity to bring it to pass, to thrive in it, to maximize and be excellent in it. It might be in seed form. Maybe you're not seeing it active just yet, and that's okay. Be diligent to develop the seed. Whether, as Michelle talks about, using your processes, write the vision, make it plain, get the tools, talk with persons. Whether, as Janine would have shared, tapping on the inside, connect, get a vibe, go with it, flesh it out, see how it feels, talk to others, get that feedback. Or even as Roel would talk about, do the research, get out there, know what is important, and position yourself to align with the market. All of them put together is the thing to do. But know that you do have the capacity, it is within you, and you can make it happen. Michelle, what's your wisdom for transformation?
I would have to say that I'm quoting here my mentors, Dr. Mike Murdoch himself. He said, somebody's future would not begin until you walk through the door. And of course, you walking through the door would require you to have built up yourself so that you'd have something to share. And in order for you to know that, you have to understand, I think, the deep principle that Dr. Miles Monroe shared, which is God didn't give you a chair, He gave you a tree. And when you look at that tree, you have to discover how many things you can do with it. So inside of the tree is the chair and the house and the and the cooking utensil and everything that you need, which is the point that you made, Alina. Inside of us is everything that we need. So once you've discovered that, right, no matter how small it might be, you are significant and relevant for your purpose. So you take that and then you go out and you share it, and then another person's life will begin, and so on and so forth. And that's how we build ourselves and each other.
Yeah, and before we go to Janine, Natasha, if you're still online with us, remember we want to hear your wisdom for transformation too. So make sure you type it in the comment section below. Thank you. Janine, wisdom for transformation. What are your final thoughts?
It's something that you said, coupled with a few others.
Yeah, tremendous,
Always remember
tremendous,
that
tremendous.
have that confidence inside of you to know that all that you need is in you. It would be backed up by the research, as Rolla said, and I know Michelle as well taps into other sources to get information and inspiration. But it's the seed is still inside of you, and you're the one responsible for that growth. And with that growth now, it may not be all at once. You might see an inch today and 6 yards tomorrow. Just be patient and understand the same is gonna come. Be patient, be obedient, and watch yourself flourish.
Yeah, Roll, what about you?
Great, great, tremendous. Yes, I'm not hearing very clearly, but I take it it's my turn. Um, we have a manual for effective living on the earth, for living on the planet, and it's the Bible on the planet. And the Bible is rich with all sorts of instruction techniques for living life effectively. And there's a scripture that says that faith is the substance of things not seen. And one of the things that I took away from that, and was littered throughout a lot of what Mike Murdoch shared, was that it's what we make it, and we have to conceive it in our mind. So it starts with belief. Or belief, what do we believe? And it's tied into what you started with when you shared Alina. What do you believe? And the thing about belief is that you don't have a choice, You're going to believe something. All right? And that belief will begin to work in your life. You're either going to believe positive or you're going to believe negative, but you're going to believe something. So I am saying be intentional about what you believe. Believe, expect the positive to occur and happen in your life. All right. If you have that belief system at work, it means that you're going to tap into your potential. Once you tap into your potential, you're going to take certain action. Once you take certain results, and that again is going to reinforce your belief. So what I'm saying is that if we have negative belief, it means that we don't tap into potential as we would want, so that we don't take the action we need, then we get negative results from our belief system. So at the end of the day, I would encourage anyone is to believe in God, that God has your back, and God's got you, and that He has a lot in store for you, and that He will give you all the resources that you need to first believe in God, believe in yourself, believe in the gift that God has deposited in you, and take action in it.
Definitely. So even as we close, oh, we're closing, guys. But even as we close, Janine, jumping back to you for those who are probably going to be viewing for the first time, even though it's the last stream. Can you take a minute and tell people about JC Charm?
Well, JC Charm is an event management company. We right now taking things virtual just because we're trying to keep up with the COVID ordinances and to keep everyone safe. But you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, as well as you can feel free to email or WhatsApp using the information there on your screen. If you have anything from a birthday party to a baby shower to a wedding, a bridal shower, we have some things coming up there. So stay tuned to the social media and you're going to know what's coming up. And some of those things I'm quite sure you're going to want to take and build on it.
Awesome. Michelle, can you take a minute and share a bit about Matthew's Resort Inn?
Hi, everyone, and thanks for this privilege. Matty's Resort Inn in Mayaro is the place that you want to be for rest and relaxation. We're very thankful to God for the opportunity to give people a space that is clean, that is comfortable, that is very much sanitized, um, and prepared, meeting all of the health regulations and standards. We have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments available, and bookings are 7622959 WhatsApp. We take our payments online, bank deposit, and of course, we have all of the basic conveniences, including AC, Wi-Fi, cable television, and compound parking, private access, and our complimentary coffee, tea, juice, water. Special discounts apply for weekdays, and of course, we're open for bookings.
Thank you, Michelle. And
You're
before
welcome.
we get to roll, I want to highlight Nashata did share her wisdom for transformation, and she said, yes, inherent in the seed of the dream is the power to fulfill the dream. And it's also dependent on the season, so the timing of God. His what, his when, his why, and his how. Natasha, thank you so much for sharing. Roll, take a minute, share with us VisionWorks Solutions. What can the people look out for?
Yes, thank you very much, Alina. I'd just like to say, well, VisionWorks is an impact consultancy. So we're all about improving impact in your personal life, in your personal space, impact as a small business or NGO, and impact even in the corporate space. And when we say impact, what do we really mean? All right. If you look at the challenges that we face even now in the age, you'd realize that profit alone is not going to get us where we want to go. All right. It requires a sustainable development approach to living and to life. All right. So that what VisionWorks has done is pull together a team of persons that help individuals build that balance back into their life, whether it's work-life balance and harmony for individuals, or whether it is uh, SMEs and small business and NGOs that are trying to make an impact in their space, or corporate social responsibility in terms of large organizations. Tonight, I want to make a special appeal to individuals out there in the social impact space. So maybe you're like me and some of the others on this panel where you have a particular dream, you become dissatisfied with something in your community, something in your family, something in your area, something on your street, something in your village, and you want to make a difference. But you're not too sure because you're wondering, can I really do this and can it sustain itself? Can I build a sustainable model where I can continue to help and make a difference in my space? How can I go about doing that? Where does it begin? You can check us out at VisionWorks. So we have developed a range of models to help persons merge business and social good. In particular, we have a number of courses coming up in 2021. So you want to check us out on Facebook, online, or the various social media, www.visionworks.solutions, and you're going to see more about some of our offerings and how we can help you make a greater impact. So I want to invite everyone to join the impact revolution and let's make a difference in our space. Thank you very much for the opportunity and all the best to everyone out there.
Thank you so much for sharing us. I really just want to say thank you to Krista Codimore, Simone Nickham, of course, Michelle Timothy Ellis, Roll Rollux, Janine Caesar, Natasha Rampasad, Madonna Davis, Rick and Allen for taking time over the last 31 days to join in various nights, participate, contribute, share, and build. We are looking forward to series 4, so look out for the promo for that so that you could join and be a part of these transformational engagements. I can't say until tomorrow, but I can say Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, because I'm not going to see y'all before. I appreciate all of the panelists so very much, and to those who are viewing live, I encourage you, make sure you subscribe to this channel, whichever channel you're looking at us on right now. But also, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Alina Lewis Success Coach, so that every other program that comes out, you would get notified and you'd be able to join in view and be part of the experience. So it has been wonderful. Panelists, thank you. And until series 4,
Bye.
take care and be transformed.
Bye.